Did Tutankhamun's curse actually kill him? Or was it something far more sinister hidden within the pyramids?
You know, when you think of the Egyptian pharaohs, you probably picture these living gods, right? They were masters of life and death, building monuments to prove they were destined for eternity. But behind those incredible golden masks and all of the divine titles, they were human. And their deaths, well, they were often violent, agonizing, and sometimes shockingly ordinary.
So, how did they really die? For centuries, all we had to go on were legends and the very carefully crafted images they wanted us to see. But now, modern science has basically become a time machine. We're using CT scanners, DNA analysis, and modern forensics to perform autopsies thousands of years later, looking right under the bandages to uncover the real story.
And let me tell you, what this science is uncovering completely rewrites history. The real stories of how these god kings met their end are often way more dramatic, more tragic, and honestly, more fascinating than any myth you've ever heard.
We're going to start with the most direct cause of death imaginable: cold-blooded murder. Because when you're at the very top, everybody wants your throne. And sometimes they are more than willing to kill for it.
Okay, this is one of history's greatest cold cases. We actually knew from ancient court documents that there was this thing called the harem conspiracy to kill Ramesses III, and it was led by one of his own wives. But for literally thousands of years, his mummy showed no signs of violence at all. It looked like the perfect crime.
Then, in 2012, a CT scan finally blew the case wide open. The assassins hadn't just cut his throat, no, they sliced clean through, all the way to his spine, nearly taking his head off. The scan also showed that his big toe had been hacked off, probably with an axe. For 3,000 years, the embalmers had deliberately covered it all up with extra bandages, hiding the truth from everyone.
Then you have Seqenenre-Tao. History called him the Brave. He was the pharaoh who kicked off the war to free Egypt from foreign invaders. The legend always said he died a hero's death on the battlefield, but his mummy, well, it tells a much, much darker story.
Forensic analysis reveals a chilling truth. This was no battle. It was an execution. You see, the evidence shows his hands were tied behind his back, leaving him completely defenseless. His enemies then surrounded him and just went to work, with an axe, a dagger, and a mace. The damage was so horrific that the embalmers couldn't even fix his face, leaving him mummified in what looks like a final, silent scream.
But assassins weren't the only killers stalking the palace. Sometimes, the deadliest enemy was the pharaoh's own body, breaking down in ways that no amount of power or money could ever stop. Take Ramesses II, Ramesses the Great. The man ruled for 66 years. He built these incredible temples like Abu Simbel. He was the very picture of power. But his mummy shows us he spent his final years in absolute agony from a massive dental abscess that literally ate through his jawbone. The infection got into his bloodstream, causing fatal blood poisoning. One of the mightiest rulers in history was taken down by a toothache.
Or how about Hatshepsut, one of Egypt's most successful female rulers? Turns out she had a really painful skin condition. So to treat it, she used this special lotion. And here's the tragic irony. When we analyzed her cosmetic flask, we found benzopyrene, a really potent carcinogen. She was likely rubbing poison into her own skin for years, which led to the bone cancer that ultimately killed her.
And of course, even a living god couldn't escape a virus. The skin of Ramesses V is covered in these little raised pustules, the classic telltale sign of smallpox. His mummy is the earliest physical proof we have of this devastating disease. It's just a stark reminder that even these divine kings were vulnerable to the same microscopic killers as everybody else.
But for what is probably Egypt's most famous pharaoh, the threat wasn't an assassin, a disease, or an infection. No, the killer was literally written into his genetic code from the moment he was conceived.
You see, to keep the royal bloodline pure and hang on to power, Egyptian pharaohs often married their own relatives. And DNA testing in 2010 confirmed the ultimate price of this obsession. King Tutankhamun was the son of an incestuous marriage between the pharaoh Akhenaten and one of his own sisters.
The cost of this so-called purity was just devastating. The golden boy king we see in all the art was in reality severely disabled. He had a clubfoot, a cleft palate, and a degenerative bone disease that would have made walking excruciating. I mean, think about this. They found over 130 walking sticks buried with him. His body was basically a catalog of genetic problems.
So his death wasn't one singular event. It was more like a catastrophic domino effect. He broke his leg,
an injury a healthy person would easily survive, but his immune system was so weak it couldn't fight off infection, and gangrene set in. On top of that, DNA revealed he was also suffering from a severe strain of malaria. His body, already weakened by generations of inbreeding, just completely gave out.
And finally, let's talk about how all this new science isn't just solving old mysteries. It's completely blowing up some of history's most famous and romanticized death scenes.
I mean, everyone knows the story of Cleopatra's death, right? Cornered by her Roman enemies, she supposedly had a venomous cobra smuggled to her in a basket of figs, choosing this dramatic, symbolic death instead of humiliation. It's a story that's been immortalized by Shakespeare and Hollywood.
Yeah, well, historians and toxicologists today pretty much call that Roman propaganda. A cobra bite is a terrible way to die. It's slow, it's agonizing, and it's not even a guarantee it'll kill you. What's far more likely is that she used her knowledge of poisons to mix up a fast-acting cocktail of hemlock, wolfsbane, and opium. That would have been a quick, painless death that left her looking like she was just asleep, denying her enemies their final victory.
Or what about this one? The story of Egypt's very first pharaoh, Menes, the guy who unified the whole kingdom. According to ancient records, he was carried off and killed by a hippopotamus. Now, for the Egyptians, the hippo was the ultimate symbol of Seth, the god of chaos. So in a final, powerful twist of irony, the great unifier who brought order to the land was killed by the very symbol of disorder.
So, from brutal assassinations and genetic curses, to infected teeth and even self-inflicted poisoning, the real stories of how the pharaohs died are so much more complex than the myths ever let on.
And that's the real power of all this science. It strips away all the gold and the divinity, and it reveals the real people underneath, people who are vulnerable, fragile, and subject to the same pain, disease, and violence as any one of us.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we keep scanning and testing and analyzing these ancient remains, what other shocking truths are still just waiting to be unwrapped?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And check out the next video on your screen, you'll definitely enjoy that one.